Before you win, everyone will ask you why you're working so hard. And after you win, everyone will remind you how lucky you got. Hormozi twisted that into before you win, everyone will ask you why you're working so hard. And after you win, everyone will ask you why you're working so hard.
It's not what you do for a living. It ain't how much you make. It ain't none of that. It's simply how you think. If you change your thought, you change everything. You change your attitude, you change your altitude. It's all that. It's the law of attraction.
If you sacrifice and make the sacrifices each day, then you'll see the gains, man. You know, you guys have been seeing the pictures of me posting up, you know, and I'm getting some enormous, quick, fast gains. You know, I'm at the end of week 3 right here, and, you know, some good things are happening. So,
how does one lead a meaningful life? Because ultimately, isn't that what we all want? We want to lead a life so that however we transition, people can say, wow, that was a bright one. That was a bright light.
Every time they spend practicing, and this is also incredibly difficult, but every time they spend practicing, it's almost entirely in a state of, I'm not comfortable with this. But if I focus as hard as I can, maybe I'm gonna pull this off. Like I'll pull off the sonata at this new speed I'm trying to do. Maybe I'll pull it off. It's like the maximal growth stimulating state.
The brightness and dimness of the auras were how one lives one's life, so to speak. So that's one of the major things that really has changed with me since then, he says. I want to live my life so my aura, when it leaves, is one of the brightest ones.
I think the biggest reward at the lowest level of your brain, like the things you actually remember, and just the self-satisfaction and happiness you feel about life is when there's something that's really hard, but you stick to it, and then you eventually succeed. That locks in the lessons into your brain, that makes you feel good about yourself, that gives you more confidence for keep doing that in the future.
They don't know what I know. They don't know my full potential. Y'all don't know what I'm gonna be doing in 3 years. I know what I'm gonna be doing in 3 years. I know what I'm gonna be doing in 6 months, but some people can only judge you based off what you've already done. So like, when I would tell people like, hey, I'm gonna get a Grammy, and I'm saying this around the Goblin time, people are like, ooh, this nigga is tripping, right? But I'm like, oh, you guys don't know what I'm capable of and what I have planned for the next 4 years.
You can't multitask. There is no such thing as multitasking. Like what people think about when they think about multitasking is parallel processing. There is no such thing as that. Even switching between tasks has a huge cost in terms of what you can achieve. But then doing it in the macro too, you miss out on all of the big context window, a word that everyone knows now from AI. The bigger the context window, the more information it's able to pull in and the more connections it's able to make.
First thing you have to do, you have to review how wretched and miserable you actually are. And you have to face that. And then you have to think, I'd rather not have that. And it has to be true. And then you have to aim up. Now, you don't know what that means because like you're pretty scattered and dissolute, but at least you got the damn intent in mind. And then you have to be willing to make the sacrifices.
Why do you have to question yourself on the dream that you want to pursue? Why do you have to listen to the people that think they know what it is for you? You have 75 years in this world and in this lifetime. If you get lucky to do whatever you want to do. Do you understand me? So don't let anybody dictate you on what you want to do. You have 75 years if you get lucky. One life. You don't have no redos. You don't have nothing. There's nothing else after this. After this lifetime, there's nothing else. So go get it. Go chase the dream. Go get it.
So if I would have had the opportunity to tell him when he was 13 years old, hey, listen, bro, I get it. You're going to step outside the box sometimes, but there's some mistakes that you can make that you'll never be able to recover from. So think about what you're doing before you do them. You need to think about what you're doing before you do them. And if I would have had the opportunity to tell him that when he was 13 years old, he might have had a better decision-making process when he got older. That's why I left it that way for those kids, so that they recognize that there are some things that you do as a person, as a kid, that you cannot recover from. You cannot recover from.
because my mother made me believe in myself. No matter how many people tell me, stop believing in yourself. Stop saying what you can do. Stop affirming what you're gonna do and then completing that in real life. That's the improper way to do it. I refuse to follow those rules that society has set up in the way that they control people with low self-esteem, with improper information, with branding, with marketing. I refuse to follow those rules. It's about truth, it's about information, it's about awesomeness, and the only luxury is time. The time you spend with your family. That's the only luxury.
The people that win in life don't necessarily have more vision than you. See, it's not a lack of vision always that means that you are going to lose. It's a lack of a type of vision, which is depth perception. You think you're further away from the outcome, and so you pace yourself like it, and you jog all the time throughout your life. The people that win may have a bigger vision, but they have accurate depth perception. They understand how close their goals are, how close their outcome is, and they're constantly in a sprint to get there throughout their day. That means consequently, they get started earlier and they finish later.
I've worked with people where it's like, yo, what if we do this? And then they already edit in their head, and then they're like, oh, someone said no to something like that before, so I don't know, will this work? And I'm like, bro, get out the gutter. Worst come to worst, it's a no, but let's at least try and then fail. Man, we had so many different ideas that didn't work, and it's okay, because all of that got us to this one end result that doesn't even have anything to do with it, but you just learn along the way. And I'm probably talking in circles, but just having people there that's like, hey, let's try that is...
What is the potential capability of a cheetah? They run fast, super fast, whatever, 60, 70, 80, 90 miles an hour. Do you think a cheetah goes, oh, I know my potential is 90 miles per hour, but I'm gonna start running 40 miles per hour? No, the cheetah says, this is my potential, I will achieve it. The oak tree says, this is my potential, I will achieve it. It is only the human that knows that it has greater potential, yet does everything to self-sabotage and not achieve its potential. Only the human. So where does that come from? Well, let me explain to you where mine came from. Allow me to purport.
Is that dopamine has the ability to buffer noradrenaline. So that stress that you feel when you're in effort, it's very hard for most people to keep that going. But when you get and when I say a shot, I mean internal release of dopamine through humor or through the sense that you're on the right path. Let's take the fight example, where it's stressful and you're getting beaten down. All of a sudden, you land one or you do something properly and the other guy starts to timber a little bit or shuffle a little bit. You gain a chemical advantage. And it comes in two forms. One is it triggers marking of the synapses that likely will change later. We rarely forget the events associated with dopamine.
What would a little bit of calm be like for a while, and then turning that up and turning that up and turning that up? Because why did you work so hard if it was just to allow yourself to work harder in the future? That's not to say that working hard isn't enjoyable, but that by working hard, you don't fully get to connect with life, because it sweeps lots of things under the rug, and it is a coping mechanism. It is an obese person using food as a crutch. You are obese with your workload. You are a workload fatty, and you are continuing to eat, and that is how you deal with your problems. So think about what it would be like to go on a diet.
And it basically, to me, it all boils down to actually fear. Because if you're thinking, then you're not taking action. And if you're not taking action, then there's no consequence. And if there's no consequence, then there's nothing to be afraid of. So I think that the overthinking can be an excuse for actual fear. And same thing with like, oh, I'm a perfectionist. That's also fear. It's fear of not being perfect. And then on top of that, low confidence. Well, if you have low confidence, guess what? You're afraid. Your confidence is low. You're not sure of yourself, so you sit around and think about doing it instead of actually doing it.
So number one is the Brahma Muhurta, which is in Sanskrit means the creator's time. That has been around for 6,000 years. And the whole idea is if you get up before dawn, you've already won the day, because that actually gives you better concentration, better focus, and better creativity. If you get up when the sun is warm, you've already lost the first battle. And now, a lot of people are like, yeah, my chronotype, I'm a night owl. No, I used to think I was a night owl too. I was actually just a musician who drank too much. Morning larks, the chronotype is probably 60% environmental, only about 40% genetic. So everybody can be a morning lark.
And there's this idea from Ryan Holiday that says, be quiet, work hard, and stay healthy. It's not ambition or skill that is going to set you apart, but sanity. And that sounds fantastic, apart from the fact that working hard often stops you from being able to remain sane, especially if you push it. If we accept, and I think this is true, that peace is a performance enhancer, that if you are unpeaceful, if you are in dysregulated states all of the time, you don't get to access creativity, which is the highest lever that you've got. You're not enjoying the work, so your motivation is going to decrease every single day.
For me, I try to do something difficult every day. Something I don't want to do. Really, if you open your mind, your ear to the moments where you don't really feel like doing it, do it. Those kinds of things, I think, train your mind in the right kind of way to take on the things in your life that you know you should be doing, but are hard, and so you try to avoid them.
You know, it's impossible to think of the impossible. It's not possible. So if you think it, it's possible. And if you live your life in possibilities instead of probabilities, you have a greater chance of finding happiness. Seriously, never live your life in probability. Probability is the probability of something happening. There's a statistic attached to a probability. 1 in every 3,000 people do this. That's a probability. A possibility has no stats attached to it. Live your life in possibilities and you'll change it. Just change the way you think. Y'all quiet,
but like that's one of many stories in my life where like a loss spurs an insight which might consciously or often unconsciously lead to something incredible down the road. And I think that one of the biggest challenges that we have, but it's so interesting that the loss of a world chess championship final leads to the win. The direct lesson is the win of a world championship in the fighting realm. And how common that is. And one of the things that I think about, like when you sit down with great competitors, again and again, when you hear their inner journey, the most heartbreaking losses lead to the transformational change, which leads to the biggest wins of their life.
Every time you hide in procrastination, you choose the fake safety of hypothetical excellence over the real messy human business of trying and failing and trying again. You choose the version of you who could have done great things over the version of you who actually might. And this is the uncomfortable truth. Procrastination is often not about indecision. It's a decision to live in theory rather than in practice. Once you see it clearly, the whole game changes. The question stops being, why can't I get started? And becomes, what am I so afraid will be true about me if I actually try?
The way I like to frame it is, when you were born, you are a phenomenon, you are unique. Your DNA has never occurred in the history of the universe, going back billions of years. It will never occur in the future. Your life experience with your parents and everything that you experience in your early years going on up is unique, it's yours. You're one of a kind, right? So that is your source of power. To waste that is just the worst thing you can do in your life. And what the power is finding that uniqueness. What makes you you, and how you can mine that, and how you can go deep into it and use that to create a career path, right?
I think passion goes up and down, and that's where discipline is essential to keep carrying you forward, to keep doing the thing every day. And I'm not a big believer of resting and then returning to the task. I'm a bigger believer in when you don't really want to do it, still grinding it out, and days later, your passion for the thing will return. People are different, but that's how I am. Because the greater danger for me is when you take a break, when you rest, is you're going to destroy the habit that you've built. And once you destroy the habit, it's too easy to never return to the pursuit of expertise that you were on for many years before.
you would be much better off having 90 days or 180 days on a single goal and then changing it for the next 3/4 or half of the year than you would be trying to do all of those things. Well, it's important to have a balanced life, and you'll burn yourself out if you do too much of one thing. It's like, no, I fully disagree. Find something that you can get obsessed about, allow it to climb inside you and wear you like a parasite. And then once you are done with that thing, you will make more progress. Here's a good best example. You will make more progress in 6 months of dedicated training than in 2 years of half in, half out training. And you will learn more, and you will be spending all of your time trawling forums and watching videos and doing all the rest of it. And that is the unlock.
Imagining that you're kind of a competition with everybody else in the world. And so if something is difficult for you, imagining that it's probably going to be difficult for a lot of people. And if you just stick by it, you're going to leave all those people behind you. And eventually, if you keep doing it long enough, you'll be the best person in the world at it. So kind of seeing struggle as a sign that most people would be quitting at this point. And it gives you motivation that like, struggle is a sign that you're on the path towards being number one. If you enjoy the kind of idea of you being at that top tier of excellence in a thing, then that kind of mind hack can help.
And a lot of this comes down to the framing of life happening for you, not to you. And I think that you can live a life without regret as long as you always believe that you had to go through that to get to where you are now. Period. So as much as you say, like, and I believe I can go back and say, if I had known this at this time, my God, I'd be so much further. But how could I have known that at that time? I had to go through this to know this, right? And played out the other way, let's say that I did know it at that time, and then I was better off now. Now what? I'm just better off. And I'm still gonna be probably about as dissatisfied and satisfied as I am right now.
Life has dreamed a dream for you. And your goal, your number one job is to figure out what that dream is and align yourself with the dream, because the dream cannot come to you unless you're willing to meet it energetically in the same place. So if your energy is off, which I say to my girls all the time, they could teach this class right now on being in flow. If you are not in flow with God's dream for you, with life's dream for you, if you are out of order, if you are out of sync, it cannot come to you. It will not come, because the whole purpose of your life is to line yourself up.
One of the best thing is when you get stuck, bro, you have to really take time back and step back and observe everything that you've done and see where you can improve at and see where you can be better at, honestly, and just be able to match up what you want to do with what you've already done and see how you can elevate it or pivot, but not forcefully, more naturally. You feel what I'm saying? Like what you can do, but do that to your best of your abilities. If you feel like you can be working hard, it's 100% fact that you can be working hard. So I feel like when you get stuck, you shouldn't overthink it. You should genuinely step back. Do not panic, because a lot of people fall to panicking. I have many times, and it's not a good thing because you start to rush out whatever and do whatever. But you should step back and really evaluate what you've already done and already accomplished, and be grateful for that. And then have to be able to take what you've done and see ways that you can elevate it.
If I had 100 less of subscribers or whatever, or thousands less, I would still feel just as accomplished and just as proud of myself. So what's the point of always trying to push it, you know? But I would always just keep trying to grow the channel as best as I can, you know? The views are there and everyone wants them to go up, and I would stress out over every single upload. I got into really bad habits, so I got out of them anyway, but, you know, I just realized I was so addicted to YouTube at that point. It was all I really cared about. It really took up all my focus and energy for such a long time, really. And that's what made me successful, but I didn't necessarily feel more successful because of it, I guess is my point. I know this sounds kind of like I'm complaining. I'm just reflecting, really.
Say confidence is perishable, use it or lose it. You know, the body's perishable, use it or lose it. You know, you've got to test it in order to grow it. So yeah, we go to the gym and we hit failure because failure is a friend. Failure helps us to grow. We welcome failure. You know, fear and failure, I think, are the real assets, our artillery to really transform and grow. If we're honest enough to look at them as assets and not a rejection or negativity. So the same way with this is that, working smarter, not harder, using all of our tools, to really build something. Not being fixated on what everyone else does, but the balance, seeing that there's many different ways to do it. And these little things, when I say, your confidence is perishable, it is. You have to test it.
Understand that the more you put into building a business, the more you're going to get out of it. The more hours you spend working on anything, the more you are going to get out. Work pays. Now, for whatever reason, when it comes to bodybuilding and only bodybuilding, everybody has this mentality that you can do too much. And I might post something up that says, I trained chest for 3 hours today. And I'll get 50% of the people will say, oh, that's too long. You can't train for 3 hours. That's counterproductive. It drives me crazy, this mentality.
The more valuable the goal towards which you're progressing, the higher the dopamine kick per unit of advancement. So what that means is you want an ultimate goal operating in the domain of each proximal sub-goal. And that's what happens with this upward orientation. It's like, what you're trying to do is to make things as good as they could be, whatever that means, over the longest possible span of time, for the largest number of people, you included. Now, you're not going to know exactly how to do that, but that can be your goal. Okay, now that's going to inform your perception, and your perception's a pathway, but it's also going to modify your reward system, because now every proximal step forward is an indicator of entropy reduction in regard to that meta goal. Well, there isn't any, by definition, there isn't anything you can do that's more exciting than that.
95% of the game, like I said before, is right up here, guys. If you guys believe you can do this, you can eat Twinkies and become the man. I know there's no scientific evidence for that, guys. But I swear to you, honestly, eating right, resting, having good cardio and everything else, all these things add up to equal weights, and they're all very important. But none of them mean anything without the mental weight that today I'm no longer being a loser. Today I'm gonna change my path. I'm gonna get on the path of success. I don't care how long that road is. I'm gonna see it through no matter what, because you know what? I've been living enough years in this I don't wanna be here anymore. I'm not happy with this. And I'm tired of making excuses. I'm tired of going through the same circular motion of shit. Every single day is another opportunity that you can turn it around, guys. This air we're breathing is light. You can take this light and transform it the way you want. Drive the car you want. Drive your destiny into what you want, your dreams, to make them a reality, guys. You can do it every single day. You can wake up a certain day, and that person you woke up with, you can say goodbye to that person that day and go to sleep a stronger person, or a better person, or more forgiving, or more compassionate. Whatever it is that you're lacking, once you have the knowledge to know that this is what your makeup is, this is your one weak link, now you've identified that, now you can put different things that you've learned throughout life and applied what you've learned to fix that weak chain, to make the whole unified person of who you are, mind, body, your name, your character, the integrity and honor that you carry yourself with, into somebody that's respected, that's remembered in life. Otherwise, you will be forgotten, and gladly forgotten.
Practicing was, your brain had to be, uncomfortable. So I learned a lot from that, And really, they were trying to make flow apply everywhere. Like, it's all about flow. Deliberate practice is flow. Everything is flow. The whole thing is to get into a state of flow. And I remember Anders talking about this at some point and saying, no, like, the state of practice that makes you better. It's the opposite of flow, right? In flow, you lose track of time. When you're practicing like that professional guitar player, every second it passes by, because it's like incredibly difficult. Like, what you're doing, your mind is rebelling. It's not natural. It's not fun. It's not the skier going down the hill and it's all instinct. It's all you thinking about exactly what you're trying to do. And so, I began to push this point out here. It's like, it's not all about flow. Like, actually getting better at things is really painful sometimes. Deliberate practice is not the same as flow.
Who do you think's gonna do better? The person who measures it once a year, once a month, once a week, or once a day? We all know the better adjustments, they've shrunk the time frames down, they adjust, they get better, they improve daily. And then there's the max out 1% of 1% performers, and they have a clock that goes off every hour. Every hour in their head, an alarm goes off in my mind. It's sort of weird, but it works. I'm addicted to it. Now, about every hour, the top of every hour at 11 a.m., it's funny, my mind just knows, what did I do to move closer to my goals? What did I do to move closer to my outcomes? Have I achieved the things on my to-do list today? Have I achieved my biggest and baddest outcomes of the day? And every hour, did I move closer? Did I move closer? What adjustments do I need to make? What do I need to celebrate? What tweaks? What's been accomplished so far? An hourly alarm clock goes off in your head. If you can get to the point where you just begin to practice it.
But you're challenging yourself. You're building your confidence. Anyone says no, who cares? Everyone's failed. Every hero in the world, role model, failed. Society doesn't remember the failures. They just remember if you succeed. Remember if you showed up. Remember if you gave a shit. You know, make sure you're one of those people that does show up, not sits as a critic and points their finger at everyone else's misfortunes or missed opportunities when they haven't even tried it themselves. Don't be an expert on something you've never tried. That's called a critic. But in order to grow your confidence, you do little tests like this, different little things. You see every little small innuendo, your friends' stories or despair and stuff. You talk to them, you open up, you lend yourself to them because you learn something from it too. And you challenge your confidence. You know, you don't stay around the same circle of loser friends. You try to find a more elevated friend, someone that brings the best out of you, that challenges you, that keep growing it and growing it and growing it, man. You know, that's what keeps you young. And so just get into the motion and do it. Along the way, you'll find out, you know, what you're made of. You know, or you sit back and war game it. Well, if I do this, I gotta do this, I gotta calculate this, calculate that. You figure it out along the way. Just get involved. Stay moving forward. Don't be stagnant. Don't allow that pond just to sit there in your backyard, you know, with no movement. What is that pond? That's stagnant water. What grows in stagnant water? Algae and shit. Mosquitoes come and infest on that shit. No one wants to come to your house and look at that shit. It smells like ass and get bitten. You know, that's a bad day. You know, put a sprinkler on that motherfucker. Get some flow in that thing so it smells good, looks good. It's a visual oasis, soothing to the ear and the eye. Oh, well, now it's a good pond. I know it sounds like whatever, but that is it. That's life. That's someone who believes in themselves or who doesn't believe in themselves. And that's the birth of every success.
Be delusional, be delusional. Be so crazy to where people can't understand what is going on in your head. I don't care what anybody thinks. Listen to me, I'm so obsessed with what I'm doing right now. I'm so obsessed with the clothes and the practicing and the time and the commitment of putting energy and real emotion into the art of clothing. You feel what I'm saying? I told myself on that stage I want to be a fashion designer and have my own clothing brand one day. And a lot of people show me love, but at the same time, a lot of people thought I was crazy. A lot of people think that it's not possible. A lot of people being like, yeah, okay, because I'm a creator. It don't mean nothing. What I'm about to tell you guys is this: when you guys are living your life, be so crazy and delusional about whatever dream you have. Your dreams should sound crazy. I repeat, your dreams should sound crazy.
You have to process the information. You have to absorb it. You have to accept it. You have to open your mind. You gotta free your mind so that you can learn and make real progress. And as far as at this gig right here, life.
I'm gonna get serious. My whole life I felt like a stepchild, in school, at home, and especially in music and rap where I have a profession. And like 7th grade, I got in a fight with some guy because he said, "You don't belong on the basketball court," which he was right. I'm trash. 8th grade, I tried out for drama club. I got in and got kicked out within an hour because she said I was too hyper. I was standing on chairs, definitely, but I still think that I should have stayed in there. 9th grade, they wouldn't let me join band class because I couldn't read music. But I still had the passion, and I'm on 2 instruments now, picking up a 3rd. But when all that happened, I said, F them. I didn't let none of that stop me from doing anything that I wanted to do.
Now, the latest research in neuroscience says you can change your brain just by thinking. So then, as you begin to think about a new possibility, and your brain begins to fire in new sequences and new patterns and new combinations, and you begin to plan your behaviors, and you begin to review in your mind, mentally rehearse who you're going to be in your life, The mere action of mental rehearsal begins to install the neurological circuits in your brain. Now your brain is no longer a record of the past. Now it's in fact a map to the future. And if you were then to begin to emotionally embrace your future before it's made manifest, in other words, you're not waiting for your healing to feel wholeness. You're not waiting for your new relationship to feel love. You're not waiting for the mystical moment to feel awe. You're not waiting for your success to feel empowered. That's the old model of reality, of cause and effect.
That all your excuses are lies. They are lies, all of them. Think about the things that you tell yourself, the lies you use to rationalize taking the easy road. Taking the easy road and leaving discipline behind. Think about them. You don't have time. That's a lie. You don't have support. That's a lie. You don't have the equipment or the gear. Lies. You don't know the best way. Who cares? That's a lie. Or you're too old or you're too young. Of course you're too old or too young. Lie. And there's you're too busy. Sure you are. That's a lie. And you're too tired or you're too sore or you're just plain not feeling it. Lies, lies, lies. And the list goes on and on and on. And it doesn't stop if you don't make it stop. So recognize